Hello everyone, welcome back again. My name is Jesse, and in this wonderful tutorial, we're trying to see how to work with a very nice package called Pathlib. So Pathlib is an object-oriented file system navigation package that combines the best of os.path, globe, and then shuttle together, right? So by default, you have OS on your system that allows you to be able to do some interesting stuff. But with Pathlib, you can also do almost the same thing as os.path, but in a very simple and a very nice way. So these are the main classes that we're working with. Now let's see the various things we can do with this particular package called Pathlib. So we're just going to go with import to load our Pathlib. So this is going to be very fast because we have already written the code, then we'll be explaining them, right? So if I just go with import Pathlib, I can check for the various methods that Pathlib has to offer us. If I go with this, it's going to give us all the various methods. So these are the main classes, the path class, the process class, we have the pure path, and then we have the pure path, and we also have one for Windows, right? And it has some very basic stuff. That is a basic idea and the basic methods that Pathlib has to offer. Now let's check for OS. So OS is also a very nice package that comes or is part of your standard library. So you can also check for the same option which using os.path that is similar to Pathlib. Then these are the basic stuff you can do. So you can also get the base name, the common paths, common prefix, and several other stuff. Very interesting. Okay, so let's see some basic stuff you can do with it. So in case you want to check for the current directory in which you are using OS, just go with os.get current working directory. So if I click on this, it's going to give me the current working directory, which is this particular path here, right? So I can also use Pathlib to help us with that. So just going to go with pathlib.path.current working directory cwd. And if I run this, it's going to give us the same result above, right? And it's going to give us this particular class of post-set path, right? Perfect. So almost the same thing. So in case you want to make it simple, instead of you typing this over and over, you can just use from Pathlib import path. Then you'll be able to do the same thing, right? So we'll be using that one. So in case I go with this particular option, it's also going to give us the same start that we had, right? Just like this. Perfect. That is how to work with Pathlib to get the current working directory. Now let's see how to get a path from a string. So with os.path, you can just join two paths together. So this is going to be our folder, and this is going to be our path, our file. So I can just use this little option to do that. So let's make sure that we have created that particular file here. So I'll just come back here, and then we have our file here. So there's a file here, and this is a folder. We have several folders here. Inside my folder, I have some folders with some basic stuff there that to be working on, right? So let's see how to work with it. So I just come back again, then let's combine them together. So if I go with os.path.join, I'm going to join them together. So it's going to join this for us in the format of a string. You can also do the same thing with path in 3 different methods, or as many as you want. So the first method is just go with path, the path class, then you pass in your paths, right? So just like above, then it's going to bring them together for us. The second method is to use the slash operator, right, to join them. So in that case, it's going to be the main folder, right, and then slash // then the file. So this is the second method you can also use. Very interesting. It's going to give us the same result. Then the third method is that you can also just use the home. It's going to use your home directory, then it's going to join them with the slash operator to get the full path of the entire stuff. This is the full path together with the home, the root, and then all of them. Very, very interesting. Then you can also try another one for the full path using join path. So we also have join path method that can be used to join two paths together, right? Just like above. So this is the third method you can also use. So this, they are using join path method, or you are using this particular option, or you're using the splash method. So all of them is going to work perfectly for us. Perfect. Now let's see another one. You can also do the same thing for the full path using the home. So this home is going to give us the home directory. So if I copy this one here, and then I just check it, we will check that later. It's going to give us the same thing. So perfect. Right, now how do you get the home directory with os.path? So to get the home directory, just go with os.path.expand user, then the title here, right? Title. That's going to bring it out. So this is going to be the home directory. So you can also, that is the first method. You can also use the os.environ, then use the home variable. That's going to print the same thing for us. So either use this expand user, or you can use the os.environ, then you pass in the home there. But with Pathlib, you can just go with path.home. That's going to print the same thing above for us, right? Perfect. But you can also use this particular option, but you have to make sure that you specify the path so that it's going to get the right option for us. This is going to give us the same thing here, unless I change it, right? Perfect. Unless I change it to the title, right? So if I change it to the title or title, right? The same thing we had for this expand user here, the same thing. If I copy the same thing, I place it here, it's also going to give us the same result. I don't know whether you can see it very well. Let's make it bigger. Okay, this is better. So you can see it very well. So if I do the same thing, we can get the same option, right? So that is another way of getting the home directory. So we have this option here, or you can use this expand user, just like in case you're using os.path.expand user. Very interesting. Now, how do you get absolute path? So to get absolute path, just go with os.path.absolute path, then you specify the folder and then the file, right? So it is going to give us the absolute path, including the home and then the root. So home, root, document, JLAS, Pathlib. So this is the absolute path, right? You can also use the same thing with Pathlib, right? So it's going to be the folder that you are specifying or the file. Then just go with .resolve. That is the first method. Then it's going to give us the same thing above, right? Just like this. We are going to get it here. Then the next option is I can also use the absolute also, right? You just pass in your file or your location. Then you just go with absolute, and it's also going to give us the same stuff above. So with Pathlib, you can do a lot of things right out of the box. Now let's see how to get the component of a path. So let's say I have this, my folder and my example. Then I have my path, my test folder and example, right? You can use any of them. So this is going to give us as a string, and this is going to give us as a path. So if I check for the os.path, it's going to give us all the features of a string, right? So these are all the features of a string. It's alpha, it's num, because it's seeing it as a string. But if I go with the next option here, which is going to be this, is going to give us as a path, right? So this is going to be like a path. It's going to give us some basic and interesting features, right? That you can also make. Can make child path, absolute anchor as path, and all of these things. Perfect. That is the basic idea. Now let's see how to get the component. So to get the component of that particular file, you can just say, in case you want to get the name of the file, just go with the path that you have, .name. It's going to give us the name, which is example.test, which is referring to this file here, right? The same in case you want to do the same thing with os.path, you just go with os.path.base name, then you pass in the file, right? You're going to pass in the file in the folder, right? This is not going to fail. This, then you just, in doing that, it's going to work perfectly for us. Perfect. So the example.test, so that's the same thing here above. Again, in case you want to get the directory, for which just go with .parent, then it will give us a parent directory, which is a next adjacent folder, right? Test folder. The same thing can be done with os.path using this particular option. Perfect, right? So whatever you can do with os.path, you can also do it with Pathlib, right? Very interesting. And in case you want to get the extension of the file, just go with this option. So if I go with this, it's going to give us in two different formats. So the file, the folder in the file, and then the extension. In case I want to get only the extension, I just pass in the next value, right? Perfect. But with Pathlib, it's very simple. Just go with a path. There's a path that we are using, then surface, then it's going to give us the surface, right? The extension for us in a very simple way. So in case I want to split for getting only the file, I can also use this particular option, right? So this is going to give us the stem of it. So this is the stem. Then to get the stem of this particular file, you can also use the same thing that we did here with stem. Perfect. That is a basic idea about how to work with Pathlib, as well as comparing Pathlib together with os.path. Now let's see how to make directories and then how to work with files. So you can make directories, just make directory. To make a single directory, to make multiple directories, just go with this particular option. But you try this one only, right? You can just try this one as an assignment. Okay, so now let's see how to make a directory with OS. So in case I want to make a directory called 001, let's make sure that these directories are not available. I'll just come back to my path tutorial, take off this and take off this. I hope there's nothing here. Okay. Right, so I'll just take off this and take off this, and I'm going to create these particular directories, right? So let's come back and then let's start. So I'm going to make a directory called 001. So if I click on this, if I come back and I check it here, that now we have our 001 directory, right? And if I go back and I want to make another directory using paths, it can also be the same thing. So it's going to be .paths make directory. Then it's going to create directory 2, which is referring to this our directory 2 here, right? This one. Perfect. That's how to create a directory. So in case I want to check if it exists, you can also use this particular option, right? Make directory exist. Okay, right? Then it's going to work on it. If there is no directory like that, it will just tell you. If there is, it's going to tell you, right? That is the basic idea by specifying this one as true. Perfect. The next thing that you can also do is that in case you also want to check and create a file inside a folder, right? You can just use this particular touch option. So this with a touch is going to create this particular file inside my folder. So if I come back to my folder here, folder 2, there's nothing here, right? So in case I want to create a file there, I can just go with this particular option, create a file inside that. Perfect. It's going to create that particular file. Then you can actually read the file in case there's something on it, right? With the same option. Very, very interesting. So that's the basic idea about working with path concerning making directories and then creating files. Now let's see some other stuff you can also do. So in case you want to loop through subdirectories, you can just use an almighty glob, very nice package. Then I can just use glob. Then I'll use this particular option to loop through this particular folder, which is my test folder here, and find all of these files, right? 1, 2, 3. So let's create some other, or let's go to this place in case I want to create multiple files here or add more to it. Okay, let's come back to my terminal, which is here. So let's get out of this. So in case I want to create additional files, I can just go with a normal touch. Then I pass in, let's say I want to create, let's go just add files, right? Additional files. Then in case I want to create maybe 10 more files, I just go with 0.10. That is how to create multiple files at once. .txt. Right, if I go with .txt, now it's going to create all of them. So if I check it back again, so we have all our add files there with their number there, right? This particular option can be used to create multiple files. Now let's see how to actually work. So in case I want to check for all txt files here, I just use a globe. Then I can just get all my files. If I run this particular option, it's going to list them perfectly fast. So these are all the files there. So the add files together with the other files. You can actually sort them in case you want. There's a whole video on how to sort with not sort. Okay, so now let's see how to loop through them. So you can just use this particular option to loop through them as a list, or you can just go for file in or this, then you check. Sorry. Perfect. So that is a basic idea, right? So you can just use this particular option to check for it. Very nice. So let's see how to do the same thing with path, right? So how do you loop through a file using path? So the same option, instead of using globe, path gives you the option of working with globe by itself, right? So you're going to go with the folder that you want to check for, which is our test folder. Then in case I want to loop throughout all the files, just go with p, right? That is the path itself, .globe. So .globe is going to loop to the same function that we did with this option. Then it's going to check for any file with this particular extension, right? Then if I run it, it's going to print it perfectly fast, just like we had here, right? The same thing. So that's how to work with activating through a directory to find all particular files using path. Very interesting. Then the next thing you can also do is that in case you also want to check for subdirectories traversely, right, you can also use this particular option. So in that case, with Pathlib, you can just go with this option. So this is the another way. So this is going to check for not only subdirectories but any other folders around, right? So let's run it and see. So if I run this particular list, you can go to see the difference between the first one and the second one. So this is going to be all the files and the folders together with this our new file. It's going to loop through every one of them, unlike the previous one, which only loop through these ones, right? So we don't have any new folder here. But with this option, it's going to traversely loop through both folders close and another folders. So subdirectories, right? So for example, we had our this subdirectory here. It's going to loop into this one also, right? Both this one and then this one. So any folder is going to loop through it with this particular option, with the ** or asterisk / asterisk and a test file, right? That is it. This is very interesting, very nice. In case you don't want to do this long format or this format, you can use the R globe, which is a recursive globe. So there's an option. So you can also use the same thing. So it's going to be the recursive globe. It's going to loop through all the folders recursively or traversely. Okay, perfect. So that is the basic idea. It's going to do the same thing as we did above, including the new folder. Very nice. How do you do the same thing with OS? So you can just use os.work, then you can just run through it in this particular option. So it's going to go through it, then find all the files, including those that are inside our new directory, right? Very, very interesting. So that is the basic idea with using os.work. So it's going to be os.work, then the folder. See, this is quite long, but with Pathlib, it's very simple. A very simple code. This simple code is able to do all of these things. That's the advantage of Pathlib, right? Very, very interesting, very nice. Okay, so that is something cool and something nice. So let's try another one. So in case you also want to check for all the subdirectories, you can just use the same thing here. There's going to list a subdirectory. So with os.work, right? Very nice and very interesting. But to get the same thing, you can also use this option. You can also use the parent option, right, to help you with that, or the child option. Okay, so let's check files and then their directory using Pathlib, right? So there are several things you can do. You can just check whether a file exists. You can check whether a file is a directory or is a file, right? Using these ones are for the Pathlib and these are for the os.path. So we have our two files that we are working on. So we have this one for the os.path and then this one for the Pathlib. So let's check if that particular this thing here is a directory. So this is not a directory, so it's going to give us false. It's not a directory, it's a string, right? But in case I want to check whether it's a directory, I can also use this particular option. But this can also give us false. So this one give us as true because this test folder is a directory, right? Using this particular option. Again, with Pathlib, you just go straight away with the path that you have, then it's directory. It's going to tell us it's false because this is just a path, right? It's a path together with the file itself, so that is why it gives us as false. But for me to make sure that I'm getting this only folder, because if I come back here, let's run it and see. If I go with p.path, so this is going to be my test folder, right? So that it's having a folder together with the file, so that is why it gives us as false. But for me to get only this folder, I just use the .parent, right? So .parent is going to give us only the folder, which is this test folder here. That is why it gives us as true here, right? Perfect. That is how to check for whether a folder is a folder, right? You can also use the exist to help you with that. Now let's check if a file is a file using OS. So this is a file. So we can do this particular option and it's going to tell me whether it is a file or not. False, right? So because the reason it's given us as false that this is not just a file, but it's also a folder together with a file. With Pathlib, you just go with this same option, then it's going to tell us that it is false, right? Because it contains it's a whole part of its own. So for me to actually work and check if that is a file, then I have to do the same thing I did here. So I can just copy this one here, right? The same thing I have. Then instead of using this particular option, I'll just go with this, then use the .name. If I go with .name, then this is not going to be directory, it's going to be my file. So if I run it like this, now it's going to tell me that giving us an error because the object has no attribute is file, right? So give us an error. So that's not the way to do that, but we can actually commit or put the file there, put the actual path there. So it's something like this. Copy this here as we did, and then try that one, right? So let's go with path, pass it in here, let's pass it in here as a string. Then here I can just do my is file. Hopefully it's going to work. False, it's still giving us as false, but if I go with this option only, now it's going to give us as is true, right? That is the basic idea. So with the is file, it should be specific to the file itself. Then it's going to tell us that it is file. Perfect. Now let's see some other stuff you can also do in case you also want to check for all the files inside our folder. You can just use the globe, check for the test file, then just check if that particular file is true. True, right? Very, very interesting. That's how to work with checking for file. Now let's see the next option of moving files. So in case you want to move files, you can just go with the normal sutil, right? You can also use os.replace, or you can also use path.replace to help us move files. So let's try an example using the sutil, very powerful package. So in case I want to move this particular folder, this file from this folder to this folder. Let's create them. I'm going to create one here. Let's create this one. So I'll be creating 001, 002. So this is going to be my example file. 001. Copy this one. Copy again. So this is going to be 001, 003. So I've created 3 files: 001, 002, 003. Now let's see how to rename them, right? So in case I want to move this from here, so I'm moving it from this particular place, from here, right, into, let's say, this particular place, right? So how do I do that? So let's make sure that there's nothing here. If I come back here, there's nothing here, right? Perfect. So we're trying to move them to this particular folder too. So let's see how to do that. So it's going to be my sh-util, then move the file, then I'm going to move it. I can also give the same name, or I can rename it, or any of them is going to make the same sense, but I'm calling it moved example so that you see that it was moved. So it says file not found. So the reason this file is not found is that we don't have the file there, right? So we have to make sure that this file is there. So let's check it and see. So I'll come back here, test folder. It's supposed to be test folder here. Let's copy the name rather. Copy this name here. It's supposed to be found here, right? So that you can move them. So let's copy them here. So I'll copy this, and then this into my test folder, because that's where those files are. Perfect. So we are moving it from here, right? So that was my bad. So let's try this again. Perfect. So that has moved perfectly, right? They're just giving us the next direction. So in case you have not subscribed to this channel, you can also subscribe and check the link below for some interesting materials and some interesting courses to help you master machine learning, Python, and then building your own CLIs. Very interesting. So you see that now it has moved it here. So this is a file, right? Very interesting. So it's able to work with it with sh-util. You can also use os.replace to help us doing the same thing. So if I run it, it's going to work perfectly for us. So if I check back here, now we have our moved example 2 is here. Then the third one is using path. So you're just going to pass in your path, right? Your source, then your destination, right? Where you want to move it to, right? So if I go to .replace, if I run it, perfect. So if I come back here, now you see we have our moved example 3 here. If I check back here, there's no more here. So that's how to move files, right? You can also use the same thing to copy files, right? Very interesting. Now let's move on to the next session, which will be the last session, which is how to get statistics about a file, right? So you can use os.stat, and then you can also use path.stat. So how do you use Pathlib to help you get stats about it? So let's try an example with my os.stat. It's going to list perfectly for us. So these are the mode and all of these individual information, right? Together with the time and all of these things, the current time, C time, and all of those stuff. But how do you do the same thing with Pathlib? You just go with the path, you pass in your particular value, right? Your particular file, then just go with .stat. If I run it, it's going to give us the same result, right? Very, very interesting. Now, in case I want to know the owner of this particular file, I can just use the .owner. It's going to give me the owner, which is me, root. And then also to get the group, you just go with .group. Then go to print that perfectly for us. But how do you do the same thing with os? It's going to be os.stat, then stuid. So this UID is user ID. So it's going to give us an ID. So we have it here. So user ID, right? Which is this 100 here, right? But with path, it actually converts it into something useful that you can read, right? But this is going to give us only the UID. So if I come back here and I run it again from this option, it's going to give us my 1000. The same thing for the group user ID. This user ID, then group ID. In case we are sharing the system, right? Very interesting. But this is not useful for me. In case I want to actually get the name, I'll just import pwd, right? Then I'll just go pwd get pwuid. Then I'll just pass in my particular style. So if I go with this option, I can actually use it to get the user ID from the file. So let's try that one. So it's going to be here. Let's import it. Perfect. So this is going to give us the name here, right? So you can actually select the name perfectly, and then the current directory and all of these things. So that's how to work with Pathlib. So thank you for watching. So the basic idea is, first of all, you just need to import Pathlib, Right, you just import Pathlib, or in this particular option from Pathlib, the short format, which is going to be this option, this particular option, right? And you just pass in your particular file using this option. Then you can do anything you want to do with it. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next session. Stay blessed.